Hello everyone, the Kentucky Patriot here. We're super excited to be on the range today. I talked to a buddy of mine. We was chatting last night, a friend of mine, Dave, that I went to high school with, and this got brought up, these mini shells. And he had several boxes, and I met up with him today, and he'd give these to us. I tried to pay him for them, but he said, no, just make a video with him. He's gonna donate it to the channel. So 2A Dave, thank you, pal. If you're not familiar with these are pretty neat. These are what they call mini shells. And typically when we think of 12 gauge shotgun shells, we think of 2 3/4. I understand they make 3-inch and 3.5 for turkey loads, but in general, when you think of 12 gauge shotgun, you think of 2 3/4 inch shells. Here are the mini shells. They look just like a shotgun shell. I mean, everything looks the same except they are just cut way down. These are actually 1 3/4. And we've got some buckshot today and some slugs. We're just going to shoot them and compare them, how they, react with targets and the power and how they perform and how they feed, whether they're reliable or not. Now, I'm shooting a Benelli today with a 3.5-inch chamber, so we'll see if they'll feed these little guys. We'll see how they run. I understand that water jugs isn't the perfect target, the perfect test medium. I understand that, but that's what we have available. So I'm going to try to shoot some water jugs. I'm just going to try to, just shoot some today and just check the reliability of them to see how they run. But these are a lot of fun. I'm really excited about shooting them today, bringing you along with us. So again, Dave, thanks, man. Appreciate it, pal. Buckshot, slugs, mini shells. Let's get to some shooting. And like I said, I understand that water jugs is not the perfect target for test medium. I know a lot of you mentioned gel blocks, the ordnance gel or the meat targets or whatever. But today we're just kind of show you the power of these little shells compared to the normal shells, and also the reliability and the feeding issues. Let's just see what they do with water. Again, I understand it's not perfect, but it still gives you a pretty good idea, and we're going to have a lot of fun with these hopefully today. So I'm just going to shoot these water jugs, check out the reliability. This is the buckshot first, then we'll try the slugs. Let's see how they perform. I'm gonna show you the very first shell going in. Let's see how she does. Chambered that one just fine. Let's get to some shooting. Okay, I got an empty chamber here. This was the last one. It didn't seem to eject all, it didn't come out all the way, but that could have been me, I don't know. But it ran those pretty reliably. The big thing to these is why a lot of people are interested in these and like these is capacity. Because like I said, you do the math, but if you take a shell this size, that's compared to 2 3/4 or 3 or 3.5, you can get a lot more capacity in your home defense shotgun. So this Benelli Nova, like I said, it's chambered in 3.5, but it ran these little guys fine. I was really kind of surprised with the recoil. It had a little more recoil than I thought it would for these little shells, but it done a pretty good job, and I really enjoyed it. So I'm going to load up some buckshot. Let's try this drill. I'm going to load up a slug. This was buckshot. Let's try this drill again, but this time we're going to use a slug, and let's see how they run, and let's see how they perform. But pretty cool so far. I wanted to show you a picture of this slug here. It's a little bit different. I don't know how good the camera's going to pick this up. I may get a little closer here. It's a little bit different than your typical Foster slugs that you're used to, probably in your 2 3/4 Federal or Winchester slugs or whatever. But I'm going to try this drill again here. Got 6 rounds, I believe, loaded up here. Now, I have to go back and watch the video. That failure to extract, that could have been my fault. I know on the, I think it was the Maverick 88 Mossberg, I went back and watched the video, and it was shooter error, not gun or shell error. So I'm going to try it again with slugs. I may try some buckshot again here later. But here's the slugs, these little mini shells. Let's see how they run. Got the water jug set up again for effect. You can see the power. And this isn't 100 yards. This isn't a long-range weapon, because I think most people that would use these are probably not going to use them for hunting purposes. It's probably going to be more for home defense, and that's probably typical home defense distance, or probably somewhere in the ballpark, a range typical distance in your hallway, living room, whatever. So I'll hush and get to some shooting. So here we go. Chambered that one just fine. Again, that could have been me, I don't know, but every time it's done this on the last round. So maybe I'm subconsciously realize it's the last round and I'm doing something different. But so far, it ran them great, and it done fine, except the last one failed to eject properly. I mean, I could pull it out. It wasn't a catastrophic failure, but again, it ran 6 rounds. Fairly accurate at this range. Like I said, it's hitting a long distance range type shell, but so far I'm pretty impressed with them, because the question people have is it reliable? And that's what me and Dave, the gentleman that donated these to the channel, was talking about. In his shotgun, he said he had some feeding issues because his also had a 3.5-inch chamber. But so far, anything you do, whatever you choose for home defense or even hunting, but especially home defense or personal protection, make sure you test out the rounds in your shotgun, not in somebody else's, but you test them out in your shotgun and make sure they run reliable. But so far they seem to be running pretty good, so I may set this up again and try to interchange them this time with buckshot. I mean, like they're 3 buckshot and 3 slugs, and let's see how she performs. Well, this was really neat. Miss Kentucky Patriot, she was able to get this out of the ground. We seen the divot that it made in the ground, and she found that guy. Pretty neat. Little bit of deformity right here. I'd say it probably hit a rock or something, but it's pretty neat. Thought you might want to see that. Got 6 rounds again. I think I got the buckshot loaded first. We're going to try 3 rounds of buckshot and then 3 slugs. Again, I'm just going to try maybe a buckshot round over here and then a couple over here, and then try to hit this one with the slug. And we're just basically seeing how it runs. And again, you can see the power, how it performs at close distances. Let's see how she does. Uh-oh. Had a failure to eject that time. Again, those could be the shell. It could be me. I've not shot these enough. Really, this is the first time I've ever shot mini shells. I've seen them. I've seen them at the store. What was funny is my wife seen them the other day, and she thought about picking some up, and then my buddy Dave just happened to bring them up. But like I said, you have to try them with your shotgun. It could be me. I hate to blame him on the shells, but we did have a couple failures to eject. That time it was one during, you know, it wasn't the last round. It was one during the sequence of rounds, but still a lot of fun. I may load it up and try it one more time and just see how they perform and see if it's more shooter error. Maybe I'm not doing it just right. Maybe they, you know, it could totally be me. But these are a lot of fun. I really enjoy it. Like I said, you get a lot more in there. If capacity's what you're looking for, you can certainly get a whole lot more of these shells into your shotgun. But for home defense especially, like I said, you don't want to miss that big buck, or you don't want to miss the turkey or something if you need to shoot more than once. But home defense is a whole different ball game. When your life depends on it, it has to be reliable. So like I said, I can't emphasize that enough. Test it in your shotgun. This is just for our fun. This is just for entertainment. This is just for like a visit, a friend to friend, a neighbor to neighbor. I am in no wise telling you what you should or shouldn't do for home defense. I'm not advising you. There's no legal advice. Anything you see here, don't try this at home. You know, we're just out here having fun today, and I'm just showing you how it's running for me. So again, as responsible gun owners, adults, you'll have to make up your own mind. But I'll load it up one more time, and let's try 6 more rounds and see how she does. I think I got 7 rounds loaded up this time. I got the slugs loaded up first. So we're going to try it out again. Let's see how she runs. That water jug, I think it's barely hit the top of it. It's got about half the water in it. So let's see if I can finish it off with a slug. I can't figure that out for the life of me. It hung up again on the very last one. I shot 7 this time instead of 6. And on the very last one, it hung up here. I was able to pull it out. It wasn't a catastrophic malfunction. It was easy to get out and run. But it done it again on the very last shell. So I don't know if that's just coincidence or if that's just me. I'll take these out so I'm not hollering at you. like I said, we're not telling you what to do. We're not giving you any advice on, because everybody's different. Everybody's scenario is different. But usually I'm a huge fan of buckshot, as you well know. Even with the 410, we tested the triple lock buck. I was a huge fan. With the 12 gauge shotgun, a double lock buck, or even number 4 buck. A lot of the buckshot we tried on here, I'm a huge fan of buckshot. Just my 2 cents. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just telling you, if it was me and I was going to use these mini shells for home defense, with the results I've got today, I believe, me personally, I would lean more toward the slug. I don't know if you could hear it, but I could. I don't know how the camera picked it up. But when I shot those slugs first, I had like 3 rounds of slugs in, or 4, I can't remember now. But I could tell a difference in the sound and recoil of the slugs than the buckshot. And usually buckshot's more than capable, but when you cut down the size and power, like I said, I'm not saying that the buckshot in these mini shells wouldn't be capable, but like I said, I believe I'd lean more toward the slugs. And again, I apologize for the wind. I know the camera picks up the wind terribly. It's super windy out here today, but I've had a lot of fun. Let me try 2 or 3 more things with something else to show you the difference, and then we'll try to conclude this video. I'd like to show you the difference in comparison. Now, I'm going to shoot a regular 2 3/4 with double lock buck. Now, this isn't no specialty round. This isn't a personal defense round. This is just your typical 2 3/4 Remington 9 pellet double lock buck and 12 gauge. Like I said, nothing fancy, but I'll show you the difference in the typical 2 3/4 shell as opposed to those mini shells. So this is why I'm a big fan of it in 12 gauge configuration in a 2 3/4. Here's the difference. And if you hear gunfire in the background, we're not actually on the shooting range. We've just got cool neighbors. So here in Kentucky, pretty much everybody's a gun owner. So anyway, in comparison, you've seen the slugs out of the mini shells. And again, this here is just a Remington 2 3/4, just your typical slug that you buy on the shelf. This isn't a Hornady defense load. It isn't some kind of special load. It isn't a 3-inch Magnum. It's just a typical 2 3/4 slug that you can get basically anywhere. And I'll show you the difference here in comparison to those mini slugs of the power of a 2 3/4 slug. I just want you to see a contrast here. Now, these are Winchester. I've been shooting Federal in the buckshot and slugs in 2 3/4. Now we're going to try Winchester. These are the long beard. These are what I'm going to use for turkey hunting. These are the 12 gauge 3 1/2 inch. Now, a lot of people shoot a 3-inch, but these are also 3 1/2 inch. And the Benelli, Mossberg, several people make chambers in a 3 1/2 inch chamber. And the reason I brought a gun, I've got another one with a 3-inch chamber, but I wanted to specifically bring one with a 3 1/2 inch chamber to show you a comparison of this is still chambered by this. So let me put this away here so I can just kind of show you a little bit better. But like I said, I wanted to bring a shotgun with a 3 1/2 inch chamber that'll feed this. Now, a lot of your shotguns nowadays will do 3, but this is a 3 1/2 inch now compared to this. So you can see here, if this gun's going to chamber this and it'll still chamber this, that's pretty neat. And that's why I wanted to do it the way I did. But you can see the difference here in these shells. Now, in another video, I had a 3 1/2 inch with some buckshot, but I have never found, or anywhere local here that I can remember, ever seeing any in 3 1/2 inch slug. So I don't have any slugs for you today, and I've done buckshot and 3 1/2 inch in another video, but this is your typical 3 1/2 inch for just turkey loads. Now, this isn't a fair comparison because this is bird shot as opposed to slugs and buckshot, but still, I thought if we're out here going to shoot some really small ones, let's shoot some really big ones. And we got one water jug left, so let's finish it off with a 3 1/2 inch long beard turkey load by Winchester. I don't mean to drag this video on or try to give you too much information, but this is my hobby. This is stuff I enjoy, so I'm just trying to share some things with you. But if you look And that's what I was wondering, and that's what I said I brought a 3.5-inch chamber on purpose, because I was afraid that if it's going to chamber this, when you start to try to chamber one of these, that you start getting double feeds. Like this one will feed up, and this one will start to come up, and you start having failure to feed issues. But today, that wasn't the case. Now, I did have some failures to eject, one while I was shooting, and the other times, the only failures I had was on the last shell, whether I shot 6 or whether I shot 7. So, but as far as double feeds or any problems with that, I had no problem. But you can see basically one 3.5-inch is equal to 2 of these. So that's why people are looking at these, because of capacity. Of course, most people is not using 3.5-inch for home defense, but you can still see why you can get so many more of these shells into your shotgun for capacity. I get the question all the time about the 3.5-inch. People say they steer away from it. They're afraid of the recoil, or how is the recoil, or can you manage the recoil? And I tell you this, not to try to sound macho or not to try to sound tough or anything. Please don't. I hope you know me by now. No, that's not my intentions at all. But you can tell a huge difference between 2 3/4 and a 3-inch Magnum shell or turkey load. You absolutely can. But really, the difference between 3 and 3.5, as far as felt recoil, is little to none. So, so I certainly don't try it if you're small. You don't give your small child, or maybe somebody that's new to shooting, or somebody with a real small frame or a hurt shoulder, probably don't need to be shooting 3.5. But if you're a turkey hunter and you're used to 3-inch shells, you should be just fine with a 3.5-inch. That is what I use. I like them. I've also killed turkey with a 3-inch shell, but you just got more payload, and I'm just a big fan of the 3.5-inch. So here we go. We're going to finish off this last jug. I'm going to pretend it's a turkey, and I'm going to pretend it's running, and I'm going to pretend that I'm a lot farther than what I am, okay? So anyway, we'll make the best of this situation. Since I was talking about turkey, this is actually our turkey blind. Anyway, long story short, it's America. You're free to do whatever you want to, and I'm in no wise means, any way, shape, form, or fashion telling you what you should or shouldn't do. You do what you feel comfortable with. I'm just giving my 2 cents, me personally, because I told Dave I was going to give an honest review of the shells, whether they all fed, whether they didn't feed, whether I loved them or hated them. I will be honest with you, I loved them. I thought they were really cool. It made for an awesome range day. It was something I've never shot before, so it was a brand new experience for me. So would I be apt to get some if I'm out? Absolutely. Did I have fun with them? Absolutely. Now, you can also get them in bird shot, and I'm sure they'll be great for small game and capacity. It would be great if you're out maybe rabbit or squirrels. Maybe that would be another video for another time. I don't have any of the bird shot today. But my 2 cents. I do understand people's point of more capacity in their shotgun. And if you're talking home defense, and this is just my personal opinion, I don't think that the extra round or 2 or 3 that you're going to get in those mini shells is going to make up for the stopping power of a double up buck or a slug or the PDX-1 or whatever you're using to run in your shotgun for home defense. Again, sorry for the wind, but you do whatever you feel comfortable with, but I'm just giving my take on it. I'm just telling you what I would do for me and my family. I love the shotgun rounds, the mini rounds. They're a lot of fun. They're a joy. But when your life depends on it and somebody has come through your door, and I won't go into all of it, I don't want to make this video too long, but I've talked many videos about hardening your house and being good stewards for home defense, with the deadbolts, with the extra 3-inch screws on your frame, alarm systems, camera systems, dogs, a lot of things to prevent anything from happening. But if somebody gets through all those hurdles and comes through your front door, to me, I'm not saying by any means that those mini shells aren't lethal, but what I am telling you is if I get my first shot, I would much rather have at least a 2 3/4 buckshot or a slug if I'm using a shotgun for home defense as one of those mini shells. I honestly think your first shot, 2, 3, 4 is going to be so much more critical than having 5, 6, 7, 8 and having more rounds with the mini shells. That's just me. That's just what I would do if I was using a shotgun for home defense. I would probably be more the traditional buckshot or slugs in 2 3/4. But hey, it's America. If you like the extra capacity, they run good in your shotgun. then by all means, you do what's best for you and your family. That's just my view. That's just my take. Again, Dave, thank you so much. Who knows, I may talk Dave into coming up here with us one day and making a video or two, but I want to thank him again for those shells. He donated them, so appreciate you too, Dave. God bless you, brother. Appreciate all you all watching. If you would, please like, share, and subscribe. It really helps me. Anything you want to see, any kind of videos, rounds or targets or anything you have in mind, got any ideas for us, anything you want us to discuss, leave it in the description or the comments below. I appreciate you. I'm going to leave in the description a link to my Facebook and Instagram. If you would, please take the time to like and check me out on the Kentucky Patriot Instagram and Facebook. I want to say one more thing. I am coming to a close speaking of turkey and hunting. If you've never checked out Mia Anstein, I meant to mention her before. She is just really such a warrior for the 2A community. She just does so much for youth and hunting. Her and her husband and family. I mean, they're out there hunting elk and turkey, and they're on the range, and she does so much for our youth. We got to meet her at the NRA convention. She gave Hannah that coin, and just trying to pass on the tradition of hunting and safety, and she's just such an asset to the 2A community. So want to wish Mia a happy Mother's Day, and today is Mother's Day. All you mothers out there, happy Mother's Day, and please check out Mia Anstein on her YouTube channel, Facebook, Instagram as well. May God bless you, the Kentucky Patriot. Signing off.